Welcome back, everybody, to Chatting with the Comic Community, episode 88. That's right, guys, 88. We're on our way to episode 100, where we'll have Bobby Delaghetto joining us. That's right, guys. Bobby Delaghetto will be the 100th episode. And you know what? I'm going to squeeze in a 99 and a half to actually get all 100 episodes in, 100 guests in. But today, my guest is somebody that's been in this YouTube realm for quite a while. And he wasn't always doing comics. We'll get into that. So let me introduce my next guest. Let's get to know Biggie Shack.
Thank you, TM, man. I'm glad to make it on the TM show. What spotlight in the community, right?
Chatting with the comic community.
Chatting. If I could read, I'd be a little smarter. All right, chatting with the comic community. I am the 88th guest, and glad to make it. We've been planning this for a year or so. It's been a little while, but I finally made it. We're getting the groove back. I'm glad that you're doing your shows again, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it has been a year and a half. I would say we planned this for you to come on as well as the other guests. So I'm super happy that you took the time to sit down with me for this hour and to get to know you a little bit more. So for the viewers at home that don't know a lot about you, give them a little bit of a rundown of who you are.
All right, I am the immortal Biggie Shack. I started off as Biggie Shack. As a quick summary on who I am, it would be I am a collector of comic books, pop culture, and I'm a wrestling fan, and I make my channel out to be like a network of shows with multiple people. I kind of look at it like a TV guide kind of deal, and I've been hanging around the community for a long time. Before it was even really called a community, I think we kind of had to come up with that ourselves. But yeah, just a cool collector of comics. I like that classic Americana, Jack Kirby, number ones, Golden Age, Silver, Bronze. Not much of a modern guy, even though I do think New Comic Book Day books are fun. I do have quite a little pool. And yeah, I kind of glorified the 60s and 70s and even back to the 40s comics probably the most. But I also collect toys, wrestling figures, mainly Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, etc., stuff like that.
Right on. So I always start this conversation by asking my guests. You kind of got into it just a little bit by some of the stuff that you do collect and that, but how did you get into comic collecting / reading?
My girlfriend was reading Walking Dead, and I was collecting like Transformers real heavy. I would go to my local thrift shop, Goodwill, comic shop, and I'd constantly be like, hey, you guys got any old 80s Transformers figures? Or because I had a bad dude. I was a plastic addict. Like, any Transformery toy I thought was a piece I had to have, and I got a bunch, and eventually I started feeling like, some of these Transformers I'm buying are expensive, and Melody needs to get a little hobby. She's reading digitally all of The Walking Dead. We started watching it, and I was like, you know what? I think we need to buy the Walking Dead comic, because I remember as a child, like 12, 13 years old, going to your LCS and buying the book that's on the rack and all that stuff, and waiting for your floppy to come out to read it next month. So I went to the LCS, and she wanted, and this is kind of a bad story because I didn't get her what she wanted. You know what I mean? I got her what I thought she needed. And she wanted one of them trades. She wanted the whole trade to read through. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, you got to get the floppy. you know, because you'll regret not getting the floppy if you have the trade, because maybe a cool comic will come out and you'll be happy you have the single issue, you know. So I was looking at it as a collectible from the beginning. Like I should probably go back and get her some of them trades. That's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm probably gonna get her like what she wanted originally. Fucking 10 years later, but uh, yeah, we started at like 155 or 53. I look back and just checked the numbers. I'm like, yeah, I think that was the first Walking Dead book I got, and we were lucky enough you could get the image firsts. So I bought a reprint instantly. You know, they had the Walking Dead image first, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. It looks just like number one. No.
Can I see what lighter you have?
Okay, sure. I was just telling them how I never got you that trade that you wanted for Walking Dead. I just had you the floppy. Here, that's what I have. She had to grill me for a second. But anyways, yeah, we started with the floppy, and we pulled from there on. And I always thought comics were too expensive, dude. I always looked at them like, I don't know enough about them. I could look at this whole box and I don't know what is good to buy and what's not. I was always intimidated, you know, like comics were in front of me. I just didn't know what I should be spending my little dollar. And I always had that thing in my head, like I don't want to miss a good deal. So
yeah, I had that too. Like that's how like didn't even. Like I've been to comic shops and stuff like when I lived out west and stuff, but I was always like nervous and didn't know what to buy. So I get your point there.
Yeah, dude. So I would be looking at them. I'd be like, that looks cool. Like I knew in my mind, like even before I met anybody that, you know, 10 cents good, 12 cents good. Like no matter what, if you see a 10-cent comic or 12-cent comic, it's probably worth buying. I knew that much, right? But I really didn't see those kind of books in front of me, and I really wasn't that interested. I was, like I said, I was a action figure guy. I was like, dude, I love holding these toys, transforming them, just fiddling with them, displaying them. I was so into that, dude. And then, you know, I think what happened was I had a second, because the boom was big when Walking Dead was going on. It was big enough to where my town had 2 LCSs that actually pulled books at one point. And the second shop he was a real collector. Like he had books that you could be like, oh, that's important. I kind of know that one. Like he had a Cap 100 I wanted. He wouldn't sell it to me. Like I have this niche for grabbing books that people are like, oh, that ain't for sale right now, you know. But anywho, I went to his shop and he had some of those old ass books, you know. He didn't have like 12-cent Spider-Man I could buy as far as I could tell, or X-Men or Avengers or any of that stuff. But he did have a couple annuals that were from the 60s and the Silver Age. And I could just tell by looking at the art it was early. You know, it was like Ditko cover, Kirby cover. I didn't even know who did the art specifically. I could just tell by looking like this is from the 60s, you know. So I get a Hulk Annual 5, and I think the first one was Amazing Spider-Man Annual 7. And I'm thinking, wow, that's an early number, you know. I didn't know when annuals came out. Anyways, I buy the books. I go to the other shop, and I talked to that owner that's still around. I opened up the book and I wanted to see the publishing date. And it said, I think it was 67, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, you know, like this fucking book's from 67, you know? And it just pow, like in my head, I was like, what? And it looked like it was printed yesterday or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was great condition, just a clean copy. And I showed the person, I was like, is this really from 60? They're like, yeah, it looks like it's from 67. I'm just like, and I was just so took back after that, dude. That, you know, I was saving up little bits of money to, and I started looking at books on eBay. I wanted my first slab, and all.
What was your first slab, by the way? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
No, that's fine. I got a Cap 100 for like $80.
Nice.
Yeah, 2.5. I was drawn to Captain America instantly. I don't remember being a Captain America fan. I just liked the way his art looked, and I started learning about there's Golden Age Captain America. I didn't even know that. Like, oh, there's Golden Age Captain America. There's Golden Age Submariner. Golden Age Torch. I knew about the Silver Age covers. I was starting to learn and learn and learn. And, you know, I had a couple eBay buys before I met anybody in the community. And I did get a slab after I met everybody because I didn't know what slabs were really until I saw people start showing them. My first, like, interaction media socially with anybody was my buddy 84. He was doing a regular Google Hangout stream, and he was just showing off some books because I've seen his channel before. He would show his hauls. I've seen a couple of them. He used to have like these little pop like size wooden figures or whatever, and I was like, oh, I like this channel. This guy's cool, whatever. And he started showing like books, and I was like, oh shit, I could type in the chat while he's telling me shit, and this is live. You gotta think, like, back then it's like what, 2000, like YouTube wasn't new to us, but the live
you just mentioned Google Hangouts. Like, that was before YouTube was doing lives and stuff. They would have Google Hangouts and that's how you guys were able to go live and hang out with each other.
Yeah. And I didn't quite understand it. It took me a little while to be like, D-Runk had to sit me down and show me how to do everything. There's actually a video I'm like fucking with Perry, believe it or not, like one of the first times I'm learning how to use StreamYard. I think Perry was on my first StreamYard, or not StreamYard, but Google Hangout, where I invited guests. But anyways, I saw 84, and he showed a Frank Miller Wolverine 1. And he was like, he held it up, he put it behind him. And I messaged him. I was like, dude, is that really a real Wolverine #1? And he's like, yeah, man, that's a real one. I was like, that's crazy. You know, I don't know why it was so fascinating to me, but like just seeing someone have that book was just like, wow, dude, like that's cool. You got that, you know? So I saw him like invite people on. Like, don't get it. I was watching other things, but I didn't really get the interaction with them. Like, I saw the Stashed or Trash It's, you know, I saw that, and it just seemed like a real scripted, like, serious show. They didn't really like say, hey, this guy in the chat, what's up? Y'all ever want to hang out? They had their group, they talked, they did their thing. But 84 was like wanting to meet like people with channels, you know, so he would have D-Runk on, and I thought that was awesome. And I was just like, yo, who's this guy? He's fucking awesome, you know? And eventually I ended up hanging out with 84. He, I can't remember. Yeah, I think I joined him whenever I sent him an AOK. I sent him and 90 some belts, some toy belts. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the first time when they got the packages, they invited me on. And I told him, I was like, they were doing some kind of new comic book day thing or something. I was like, I don't really know shit about that. I don't know much about. They're like, no, Biggie, you know plenty about books. You could talk books all day, dude. Just hang out with us. You know what? Fuck it. I'll hang out with you. And I did. And it kind of just proceeded from there. Like 84 wanted to do the Mega Power Hour wrestling and comics hangout. And we did that for about a year and a half or so. And it just goes from there and there, you know, like we started doing the wrestling gimmick promos, and me and 84 kind of like originated the whole comic collector, like being a wrestler thing. And the Hunt like invited 84 to it, and 84 went in there with the Macho Man. He did a promo before he even got there, and then JD promoted back Ric Flair. And that was kind of the beginning of like the battling. But always in my mind, like when I brought up the wrestling, right? And I was like, I'm gonna collect comics. I always thought there should be like I have early videos saying like there should be nerd battles. We should compete against each other. You know, we should have these personalities and like have some kind of trivia. It's always been weird competition in my head because uh, like I met people on internet, but it was through fighting games. So there's a good 8 years of my channel where I'm just talking about people I meet on PlayStation Network and play Tekken against. You know, I was a real like scientist, psychologist, Lei Wulong fighter, dude. Like I would be talking 80 mortal gods, the animal techniques, you know, the drunken gods, the shit I almost forget, it's been so long. Just the what's it called? The hard style kung fu, southern style kung fu. It's basically like he's Jackie Chan, but he's a little bit more in depth. He's a red belt master. He's not a student. He taught people in Tekken how to fight. He was one of the main leaders at one point. He's not a regular martial artist. He's one of the greatest. So yeah, I would talk about Tekken and a little bit of Transformers, and then I got into the comic books and I kind of really found there was a lot more growth there. Even though it's not like you get 100,000 subs here, you meet about 100 or 200 channels that are very welcoming when you meet the comic book community, even back then. So I think that kind of leads us up to where we're at. I think that was a good little origin.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of times in that, like, and I will go back to a few other things you mentioned earlier as well in a little bit here. But the one thing you did mention that you don't talk a lot about, and not a lot of people talk to you about it, is Transformers. Because if you go to the very first video, it's you talking about Transformers and that. So where did that love of Transformers come from, and how long have you been collecting Transformers?
Man, when I was a kid, dude, it was Transformers and He-Man and a little bit of Voltron. You know, always like the robots. And I had a pretty good, I mean, when you're a child, dude, you could have like 4 or 5 Transformer toys. And you, in your mind, when you grow up, you thought you had them all. You know, that's the way I was, at least. Like, I don't know how many. I know I had an Optimus. I had some GoBots. I can't remember having like a ton of Transformers. I did have a bunch of good He-Man. I had some G.I. Joes. I had the coolest piece I think I had, we kept at my grandmother's house, and it was the Dagobah Star Wars playset. And it had quicksand in it, and the figures like go into the foam and they disappear and they go down a ladder. It's a pretty sweet fucking playset. But yeah, it probably came from my child. I watched all of the Transformer G1, G2. I even watched the abridged what are they called? Shit, man. The ones that like had humans involved. Like you had like a human that might like man the robot, a little bit like Gundam. Anyways, it was mainly Japanese. It'll come to me later. But it was in between like G1 and 2 and oh, I got it. It's Target Masters. So the Target Master Japan Chinese version of Transformers, we never had an English dub. And I found it like years later, some fans actually put together where you could understand what they were saying. So I watched the shit that wasn't dubbed and the dubbed. The dub's gone now. I don't know where it went. But those were really good because you had Bludgeon, you know, Six Shot kind of came in around there. You had more of the Scorponok, Fortress Maximus, the whole story where Spike took like a solid week and he built Fortress Maximus to defend and shit. And The Power Master Prime dude, he had wings and he could fly. It was a pretty strong version of Prime, you know, like it was a good story. And I watched all the other ones too, like Beast Wars. Those were good. Transformers Prime, Transformers Animated, Robots in Disguise. The movies, I think that the original G1 Transformers movie is still, to me, the greatest animated movie. I don't think that I've ever watched one that's close. Like, I've seen a lot of cartoon movies, but even the coloring, the music, the speech acting, the story, it's oh my god, it's way too good for a little 10-year-old kid. That shit was so adult, dude. Like it still holds up to me. I hear some people like, "Oh, it don't hold up no more." I think it's still amazing. GI Joe cartoon movie ain't bad either, but I understand there's some good like anime and stuff like that. Like Dragon Ball Z is good. I fuck with Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. So
But
what did you think of? Because you mentioned the animated movie, and that there was another animated movie that came out. What was it, Transformers One? What did you think of that movie? Did it did it give you the same experience you felt when you watched the first animated Transformers movie?
are you talking about the one I watched recently?
Yes.
Yes, no, yeah, it wasn't as good as the original. It was good though. It was like it's probably see I don't my the ones I don't like the most is I think it was the one with Bumblebee where he had like a little girlfriend. Was it a girl that controlled him in that one? I can't remember.
Yeah, that was Haley Steinfeld. She was in that. Yeah, that was actually considered fan favorite from
No,
the
I know a
series.
lot of people love it. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people love it.
It's
I'm
so
a
good.
fan. I'm a fan of all the Michael Bay ones, though. I don't know. I guess Bay probably had that one too, but like the Shilohs and even the Marky Marks, dude. I would get so that was probably the peak of my fandom was when the Michael Bay movies came out because you had new Transformer toys. You know, like I always idolized the G1s, the G2. They had these ones that were like laser blasters. They had like I said, they had the Target Masters. The Target Masters came with mini cons that had weapons and you could put them on them. And, you know, they had Armada, RID, Transform or Robots in Disguise. Yeah, all that shit. But the fucking movie figures, oh, dude, like the Starscream that came out, the new Prime, the all. I would want all the deluxes. I would try to get the should I forget the net Voyagers. And sometimes if you really want to splurge, you get the leaders, right? So yeah, I always knocked out the deluxe because you're talking $10 a pop, you know, $10,
Hmm.
$12 back then. And to me it was worth it. It was like shit, $12 for a cool toy that's collectible and it could be a vehicle and a robot and it's just fun to collect them. It was better than anything at the time for me. So yeah, deluxe usually comes with about 5 to maybe 10 in a deluxe wave, and then the Voyagers usually around 2 to 4 Voyagers, and the Supremes like 1 or 2 are the leader class. I didn't get all the leaders. I got most of the Voyagers and almost all of deluxes. So every movie that came out, dude, it was like Marvel movies to me. Maybe a little bit better because I was having that fandom kind of by myself. You know, I got my boy Shockwave Nostalgia into it. He's got a lot of Transformers too. But yeah, it's kind of like the comics, dude. I was watching YouTube Transformer collectors that did reviews on Transformer toys, and they got really nice camera shots and edits, and they showed how to do everything. I could watch that shit all the time, dude. I can name off some of them channels like Grim and Reaper and Optibotimus and all that shit, dude. I would watch that shit and collect my own sets of figures and shit. And I'd be like right in there with them, you know, like, oh, I got the new deluxe Ratchet or the, the Prime or the Bumblebee or Ironhide. And all that shit. Wheeljack, Grimlock, fucking Starscream, Laserbeak, whatever, dude. And it's just like there were some really fun toys, man. Like I think the movie figure toys are great.
Do you pick up the Transformers toys to this day, or have you like kind of took a step back from picking up Transformers
I have
figures?
it. Yeah. I feel like I kind of hit my once the toys went up to being like $20 for a deluxe. Now, don't get me wrong. There for a while though, TM dude, like they would just reissue the same mold over and over and over. They're like, "Oh, let's bust out the first movie wave and redo that and bring it out for a collector's item or anniversary or some shit." So a lot of the molds they would do were molds I already had. I'd be like, I'm not going to buy this mold because I already have it. Like I already know what that is. So that was happening a lot. And then the price in plastic and shipping went up, and the figures went up. They're double what they used to be. Like a deluxe is like $20-$25, and a freaking Voyager's like what, 40-50 bucks. Fucking leader's like, I don't know, 70-80. So I got in and out at the right time, I think. Like deluxes were 10 when I was collecting. They got up to around 13-14 bucks at one point. But I don't, if I see a toy now I like, I'll get it. I just haven't, the toy sections have been dying at my Walmart. And the last cool Transformers toy I got was a deluxe Cosmos. It was like a one per box, and I like the figure anyway. I would have probably just wanted it just because it's cool. See, that's what I mean, and the molds, right? So there's always been the mini bot, or it's a scout or something. I think they call them Legion too, Legion class. But there's the tiny Cosmos, right? It's the same mold as the deluxe. It's just bigger. So you kind of just got to want to buy it because you want a bigger version of Cosmos. And there never was one like that before then. We only had the little Cosmos. So I bought it, and I think it was 20 bucks for the deluxe, and it was probably worth about 40 or 50. It's still worth about 40 bucks. And I kept it in the box. I started being like an in box collector at the end of my Transformer collecting. So I got like all of the reissue G1s that, I mean, not all of them, but I got a lot of good ones that I really like. And I would get the molds of the original ones like remade and shit. So there'd be like the ones that open up like a book. They have the magnets on them. I got a couple of them. And so yeah, I mean, if there's a figure, I haven't seen one in a while that I really like. I got a big ass Triptychon. I got the what do they call those? The biggest ones, the Titan class. So I got a Titan class Fortress Maximus behind me, and I got a Titan class Triptychon. And the Triptychon, like you're getting to a level of collecting, dude, where when you take it out of the box, you got to put a hip on it that's about the size of a ham hock. It's probably this big around. You got to snap in the hip because they couldn't box it up without shipping it to you separate, basically. And I'm a little intimidated by that, like doing hip surgery. It don't look that complicated. I've seen people do it, but just snapping on that big ass chunk to it, like, I don't know. I'll just keep it in there for now. Maybe I'll open up one day. I got a G1 Triptychon, so it's pretty sweet. It actually walks. The new one don't do that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the original one walked, so yeah, I just love them, dude. Metroplex, I mean, the Grail to me is Fortress Maximus G1. They got a Target Master too, but you're talking shit, dude. $500-$700. I should really indulge myself now that I've gotten collectibles where I could probably get those old things I wanted. Like I was saying, the trade paperback of Walking Dead. That should be nothing to me, dude. I got crazy cool books,
I
So
don't think they would go for very much either. Like the trade
no,
paperbacks were probably like $10 maybe.
I kind of made it up to her though. I would say like she wanted that trade paperback. She ended up getting that Vision. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like she never got anything. She's got a lot of books I gave her, her favorite superhero is Vision. So that Vision behind me is actually Melodies. And that's like top two favorite covers in comics for me. Like it goes X-Men 50 and that Avengers are my two favorite comic book covers. And yeah, she's got plenty of books, all them Walking Dead slabs and shit. But I'll get it to her eventually.
Yeah. So I want to know, like, because you do a show with Papa Wheelie every Thursday, Sweet Chin Music, and that you're a huge wrestling fan. Like your persona is definitely screams wrestling, screams Hulk Hogan. When did you get into wrestling? Was it at a young age, or was it later on in your years?
Oh, it was definitely around 4 or 5, dude. I used to think I was Hulk Hogan, bro. I thought the more mad you made me, the tougher and more strong I got. So when I went to kindergarten and first grade, I don't remember any of them kids whipping my ass, and we fought a lot. Like there was a lot of fighting. We would play turtles. We would just fight. We would just back then 80, 84, 85, 86. Um, Not exactly like a prep school or it was the public school, you know. And shit, I whipped all their asses. And then around the end of first grade, I like in my mind, I really thought like I would shake and get angry and shit. Like I beat some pretty big kids up, and I was faster than everybody. We would do races. And believe it or not, Biggie was fast at one point, and so it was first grade. I was probably at the end of the first grade, and I saw a fourth grader picking on one of my friends. Right, I never fought like a bigger bully. I only fought kids in my class. I didn't really have a reason to patronize with second graders or third graders or fourth. Anyways, these two fourth graders, they were, you know, head and shoulder bigger than the rest of us. They were about, you know, 4 foot something. They were pretty damn tall, you know, or whatever. And I seen them picking on my friend. And I go over there and I'm like, you better leave my friend alone. I was ready to fight, you know. I was getting ready to fight. And there was two of them. And one of them kicked me in the ass so hard, bro. I thought he broke my ass. And I I finally lost. You know, it took like 30 fights and I finally lost. But it was against a giant, like grown up ass kid. He was like 3 years older than me. I went to the office. I was like, "Can you break your butt?" Like they thought it was funny, you know. But to me, like, shit, he might have broken something. They should have called my mom and picked me up or something, you know. But you know, I learned that day I could lose at fights. Then I started losing a few, you know, because they're big mean ass bully fucking kids out there, man. It was always kids that were way bigger and way stronger, you know, and um but I did good at first. And it wasn't like I was getting my ass whipped all the time, but it happened and you know, I remember 3 or 4 little fights as a kid losing. And you got to kind of deal with that. The wrestling, yeah, turned it into my fighting record. Yeah, I'm a Hulk Hogan fan, and the other wrestlers were great too. Like I remember when Earthquake smashed Hulk Hogan. I think it was Toledo, Ohio, during SummerSlam, and people were like, they sold the gimmick that he was retiring. His career was over, and I would see all the letters go to the WWF. Oh, Hogan, are you okay? Stuff like that. I remember Earthquake like smashed my boy and pulverized his ribs, and he sold real good for that. He would like convulse and he would spit and choke like he was really crushed. And that was a big deal as a kid. It was like watching Optimus Prime die. Like you thought Hulk Hogan was gone forever, you know. So he stayed. Well, I think the truth was he went and did a movie or something. It felt like a long time. And yeah, I was a big. I think Hulk Hogan was my main reason I watched it, but I would watch the other guys too. They were fun. And I kind of got cooled off on wrestling a little bit. I got into basketball a little bit more. You know, you do a lot of hobbies as a kid. The toy collecting kind of stopped around 10 or 12. Yeah, I went to basketball. Then I went back to wrestling because Hulk Hogan went to WCW, and that meant instead of just Hulk Hogan getting to battle like the regular WWF guys like Ultimate Warrior or Earthquake or Yoko or whatever, he got to go against like Ric Flair, Sting, Vader, Sid Vicious. There was a lot more high profile people at WCW when Hogan went. So it just felt like a big deal. It was like so many high level wrestlers all in the same place. Like WWF didn't have that. Like you had freaking Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels compared to Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Sting and Macho Man, and it just was like I was just like, oh shit, I gotta watch this, you know. So even as a teenager, I was a nerd watching WCW wrestling, and yeah, and then unfortunately I got into like some bad habits and kind of got away from all the pop culture stuff. You know, it was all about women. You know, I was chasing women around, and I was trying to do what made it easier to deal with women. It makes it sound like it, but it's the truth. Like it took me a long time to figure it out, dude. Like I don't know that I really wanted to get into any kind of abusive drugs or anything like that. It was really, I remember the day I was like, oh, you do that, you know, and it was a girl. It was probably a girl I liked that got me just to try it even, you know, so.
How long have you been clean, if you don't mind me asking?
I'd say it was a rough time, man, because it went from doing like prescriptions to either you, if you're going to keep using, you would have to use like man-made drugs like heroin and shit. So I went straight to like rehab and trying to take medicine that stopped me from abusing them. And it's been probably about 13. I really should narrow it down, but about 13 years, I think.
Yeah, after a while, you just don't even keep count anymore. But
No,
like, I'm proud of you, man. It's not an easy thing to like get clean and stay clean and stuff. So every day is like is a gift, and that and you're doing it, man. I commend you for doing it. I also like I would say 2018 was when I quit doing drugs, hard drugs. I was up the uppers, not like the downers and like the prescription drugs. I wasn't into that. I was more into the upper type of stuff. So anybody that gets clean is a hero in my book.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah, I'm really proud of you too. Yeah, I can remember back when I was using, dude, and that's all I cared about was like, how am I going to get to my next buzz and shit like that. And once you get that um, off your mind, and you don't have to think about it, oh my god, you're like a kid again. You know, like you're able to function and do stuff. And I remember I got broke into. Like someone broke into my house. I wasn't really settled down. Didn't really have a girlfriend. I was just living the single bachelor life and shit. And you know, I had a little TV and a PlayStation 2 and maybe a stereo and a freaking coffee table, you know, and whatever else. And these dirty fucking assholes broke in my house. There was nothing in there. You know, I didn't have shit. They fucking stole the PlayStation 2. It's like, what's the point? There was more damage to the door. You know, I had to rebuild the frame, get a new door. That shit, that's $500-600 for a fucking $80 console. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't think they knew what was in there. They probably just broke in. They were like, well shit, there's nothing here. Well, take the PlayStation 2. It's something.
Yeah. But it's
Oh
very
man.
sad. Like, it's hard to be by yourself, you know. And I think I get a little too codependent, and I don't know if I could. Like, I've been getting working on my anxiety. I gotten kind of anxious last year to where I wasn't even able to get out much, and I'm working on that now. But I know that part of it's like codependency. You know, it ain't just me being anxious. It's just like I'm a little codependent on things, you know, and it's a very weird time and frame of life. It would be hard to do that, and I always have respect for people that are single and live their lives and stuff because it's not easy to do any, even in a relationship and stuff. So it's just world's tough, you know.
Yeah. And you can be dependent on other things too. Like you don't, it's not like you're dependent on like a person, like you're dependent on an area. Like you don't want to leave a certain area because that's your comfort zone. You feel safe in it. When you leave it, you don't feel safe. And that's when the anxiety starts.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, I still to this day don't feel comfortable going too far or being anywhere too long. And I just keep pushing and push. I got to a point to where if I didn't, I wasn't going to probably. And it was a good like 4 or 5 months where I was just really kind of depressed, and I finally kind of feel like I'm. It's not wasn't that long ago. It was just into May when
Hmm.
I finally started doing stuff. So yeah, still working on it. I had a freaking appointment to see that guy, but the doctor made it 6 weeks instead of 2 months, and it was like a little bit of an argument. Like uh, he didn't think that I was going to make it because I was pushing him back. I had the anxiety going. I was like putting a doctor's appointment. I told him when he scheduled it, I'm not going to be able to make it. I said, I already know, like, I'm shutting down kind of. And I had to push my doctor's appointment for a while, but I finally made myself go. And when he wanted to set up that appointment, I said, I'll do it, but you got to give me 2 months. And somehow I got to say, I think what happened was they messaged me, and I thought they said, we'll make it a week or two later. And I think what happened was is they tried to bump it up earlier. And I must not understood what they said, and it kind of fucked me up. I was like, all right, so set it for this date. I'll be able to prepare for it because I gotta get my mind right, man. Like I can't just jump into things. So very
Yeah,
interesting.
I definitely feel you there. So you mentioned earlier you're talking a little bit about teching and that's another one of your passions and stuff. Like, of course, you're very passionate about comic books, very passionate about Transformers, even the movies, but you're also very passionate about gaming, about certain games. What are some of the games that you grew up loving, and what are some of the games that you're playing now?
Well, I grew up a Sega kid, and I remember the year we got Street Fighter. That was like really neat. Mortal Kombat. You know, I grew up on Mario and Mike Tyson Punch Out and Batman. Batman's a really good game for Sunsoft NES. And then I got my Sega, you know, Sonic, Strider. Fuck, I love Strider. Hard Corps Contra. It's probably the best Contra game. And you know, I played Sega, and I'd see my buddies. They'd get like 32X Sega CD. I'd be a little jealous. I had this little friend that was in a wheelchair. His name was Jason. He was a really good friend of mine. He also had red hair, so we were buddies because we were redheads. And we would go to the movies with him a lot, and sometimes we'd spend the night. And he had every console. He had like a elevator in his house. We used to think he was rich, you know, like, oh man, our buddy Jason, you know. And he had a swimming pool and stuff like that. So yeah, I would hang out there, and he'd get like PlayStation before anybody. He had the PS1, and he had most of the games. So I would play like PlayStation over there for a little while before I got it. I didn't. I can't remember when I got it. Was a good year and a half because the PS1 when it came out at first it was pretty expensive. It wasn't like Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo money. It was a little bit more, and we weren't really quite sure how to buy the shit. So I remember going there and playing, and then I finally ran across Tekken, and it was at his house. It was like Tekken 1, you know? And I don't even know if it was the full game or if it was like a demo, but we played it and it had Jack, it had Paul, June, Kazuya, Heihachi, Yoshimitsu, and King, I'm pretty sure. And I thought it was good. I wasn't ready to be like, oh, this is, it was very fun. It was like, oh, this is, it had grabs, it had 3D animation. It wasn't like Street Fighter, it wasn't like Mortal Kombat. You could sidestep, you could walk around. Now, the jumps, they jumped too high. They wasn't really fine tuned, but it was still the best I ever played. So I got my own PlayStation 1, and I can't remember my first games. It was probably like Duke Nukem, Twisted Metal, and I don't think I even got Tekken 1. I started off at Tekken 2. That was how late it was for me to get it. And that was the first game that had my favorite character, Lei Wulong. And I was mad dogging people. Like, all my friends, they couldn't beat me. It was just pass the sticks. That's what we would say, pass the controller. So that guy would fight, that guy would fight, that guy, and it would go around, and I never lost. So I just kept fighting. It would piss people off so much, dude. How good I was at that game. My buddy, Half Pint, he was a bigger dude. He had about 50 pounds on me, and one day I don't remember if it was Tekken 2 or Tekken 3 or 4. But I was just beating his ass. I was just like perfect. And he just punched me in the side of the fucking mouth, like pop. And he punched me, right? And I looked at him, I rubbed my chin, and I punched him in the chin. And we were just rubbing each other's chins, looking at each other. It was like, damn, we made this game like make us punch each other. You got mad and punched me, and I punched you back, but still, like, it was pretty fucking stupid. And so we got a fight out of it. And once Tekken 4 came out, dude, it had this story mode on it. It was called Tekken Force on Tekken 4. I still want this game. Like, I don't. I want the single disc version because the story mode, dude, you go around and you fight in lands and you can go to areas instead of just like one-on-one. You're fighting like 10, 20 people on a screen. You progress, you fight another 10, 20, you progress. You end up fighting 100 people per stage. You get chicken while you fight, you get power. And I would just, dude, that's where I got most of my like lab hours in. So I would take this game and this console to other people's house and I would just play it in front of people because not a lot of people have PS2 or saw the graphics, and they would just watch me go through stages and how I dominated, and people were like entertained by that for some reason. So I would go play. I took it to school. I took it to here. Took it there. I even took it to my prom when I was 18. I took my PS2 to the hotel we were staying at with the girls and shit, and I thought that was the way to party, we just played Tekken or whatever. And I feel like there's a part. Oh yeah, I was one of the early launch PS2 owners. It was very hard to get the first year PS2s. So my mom splurged on me and she got me, it was Tekken Tag 2. It was Madden 2001 and Contra. I forget what Contra Legacy was 3 of the debut games that came with the console. There was probably like 20 other games or something. So I got all 3 of those games. And of course I like Tekken the most. But I was probably one of the first people in my town that got a PS2. I don't even know if my buddy Jason got it that quick. It's because she ordered it off eBay that long ago. And it came from China or some shit. And I got it for Christmas. And, dude, I was like a pig in shit, bro. I couldn't believe I had the console before everybody, So, yeah, I have some really good stories about Tekken, man. Tekken. One more thing I'll say about is Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection came out. It was the first online game for PS3 that was Tekken. So you could play Tekken against somebody in a different house, you know? And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, I can fight someone and the internet's that good. Like, I can hear the person. I thought there would always be like a lag, you know, like I'd put the input in, it would take 20, 30 seconds for it to work or something. No, it was like instantaneous. So it really blew my mind, and I was good. I got up to Dragon Master on that, like Tekken God. So I was a Tekken God, and it would be like a whole lobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we would have like 8 people in a lobby, and most lobbies I went to, they kicked me out because I was that good. It
Oh
was
shit.
they were like Biggie Shacks here. Now I had my friends that were good that could fight me. They didn't kick
Mm-hmm.
me. They love fighting me. But every other lobby, they were like, "Oh, we ain't fucking with him." They don't. I would grab a lot. And I would sweep, and they called it spam. They'd be like, "Oh, you spam the same moves." You know, no, I just do what I want, and I'm annoying. You know, so yeah, I'd say Tekken 5 was like whenever everything kind of clicked, and then there's Tekken 6, and right now I'm on Tekken 7. I haven't moved to Tekken 8 because they don't have my character Lei Wulong. You know, Lei's been in almost every Tekken except for what was that one? There was one that was online, Tekken Revolution. They didn't put him on there,
Okay.
and they didn't put him on Tekken 7 for a long fucking time. They waited about 3 or 4 years to put him on Tekken 7. They call it DLC characters, but he's made every other Tekken from 2 to 7, and he still ain't on 8. So maybe we won't get him. You know, it's been about 2 or 3 years Tekken 8 being out, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Was there ever a Tekken movie by chance?
Yeah, they got live action, and they got the animated. They got a couple animated. I own one of them. When you buy the Tekken hybrid, okay, there was a preview to Tekken Tag 2 in a movie called Tekken Hybrid. It was animated. I even had that. Like, I bought everything Tekken. So I was able to play the Tekken Tag 2 demo before Tekken Tag 2 came out. So I got a little bit of the system, how the game worked before a lot of people did. But in the preview, you only got to use Devil and Devil Jin. So, like Kazuya and Jin. So the demo wasn't like the game that came out. It was kind of like the Devil Gene was helping Kazuya and Jin in this demo. It did have the tag function. You got to play Tekken Tag 1 on it, and that's pretty fun. And there were some other little extras in there. But yeah, it came with the movie. The movie was basically about felt like there was a new character that was introduced. I can't remember who it was exactly, but it was okay. It was the normal, like, Devil Jin pops up and is damn near killing people and shit. So yeah, there's not really a great tech. The best Tekken movie was, I think it was Tekken 2, and I had my boy Lei Wulong as the main. And he was like the hero of the movie. And it starts off like regular ass cartoon, probably back in '98 or something. And it had Nina. They had like nudity in it. Like, some of the women characters were like naked in the movie, and yeah, Lei Wulong's just like a cop trying to investigate this whole tournament, and he ends up saving the day. So that's my favorite Tekken movie. But you know, there's live action. It's not the worst live action. You can get through it if you really are a Tekken fan. Tekken Hybrid, you got to be a fan to enjoy these movies. You know, like I would say someone that don't know shit about Tekken, I wouldn't really worry about it too much.
Yeah, it's surprising though, like because I never hear anybody talking about Tekken. It's either Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, but you were like, no, I'm a Tekken guy. and stuff. Like I
Yeah,
don't hear
yeah.
a lot of
Tekken's was
people,
shit.
and it's a big game because people buy the game, people play online. So there are Tekken fans out there, but you just don't hear about them every day.
Well, Tekken was one of Sony's first million games sold games. So Sony kind of like built was built off the back of Tekken at one point. Like Tekken was their big debut smash. Like not a lot of other games were hitting as hard as Tekken was. So I understand how important Tekken is to Sony, but I don't think the average gamer would even think about that kind of stuff, you know. But it's all good, dude. You could like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. I'm just a Tekken guy. There's all different types out there. I think Street Fighter is really good too. I just can't get into it. I don't know. I don't like the 2D stuff. It seems too slow for me or something. I don't know.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. And there's fans of all three. It's just I'm surprised Tekken doesn't get talked about uh, a lot. Like the only time I ever hear Tekken be talked about is from you, Biggie. And that so people, if you're a fan of Tekken, get out there and say it proud. Say that I'm a Tekken fan. So
Mhm.
Biggie, before we get out of here, I want to say thank you, of course, for joining me on this hour to get to know you a little bit more because you told us a lot of information, some that I don't even know, and I hang out with you quite a bit.
All
So
right.
I want to say thank you for that. The link to Biggie's channel and Instagram is down below. Definitely go check that out. But I want to talk to you a little bit about spec because you're a spec king. Like you know what books are gonna pop, and that I want to know what books do you think, and this is dropping on the 16th of July. What books do you think that people should be going after right now? Because you're pretty good at eyeing out books that people should be going after.
Yeah. I got this sneaky little, and these spec guys, if they see this, they might use this book. I don't know that it's going to have anything to do with the FF movie. I doubt it. But I think the character's name is Boris, and he is the father of Doctor Doom's protagonist wife or girlfriend. And it's his first appearance is in FF Annual 2. And just by chance, FF Annual 2 is also probably one of the top 5 or 10 F or Doctor Doom covers and books because you get the origin. It's an old book. Um, so I don't know, man. I got this little creepy feeling about Boris for some reason or his girlfriend. I'd imagine it's her first appearance too in that book. Like I don't know for sure, but yeah. So that book, and for DC, man, I don't know why I like Elemental Girl so much. She reminds me of Metamorpho. Like all the spec on Metamorpho and Guy Gardner and all that's kind of out now, like we all know, you know. So I'm my kind of spec is stuff that is a far stretch, you know. So I know that Metamorpho has a real girlfriend and stuff, but the Elemental Girl is more built like him, you know, and she was kind of like the counterpart to him wanting to be, but it never really worked out. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's like Metamorpho 4 or 6 or something with the first Elemental Girl, and then FF Annual 2 or 2 books to kind of come to mind off the top of my head. But the Mister Miracle is very hot, and you
Mhm.
know you're going to want issue 1, 2, 4, and 6 if you're going for all the good keys. And the New Gods is hot. If Barda and Scott Free and Darkseid and all that come to play, there's a lot of potential for Kirby's Fourth World. Now,
Mhm.
what I'm picturing, TM, is this movie does well with Superman, right? And the Mister Miracle animated is probably going to spark some interest too. Now, for me, what I see is like Darkseid's coming. You know, because Thanos just wrecked the theaters. You know, Thanos was definitely the pinnacle of MCU in my mind. Like when Thanos came, we had a bad. It was scary. He had the gauntlet. He snapped people away. Now we haven't had a really fresh dark side main, like look at him or whatever in live action movies. I could see like the poster like Dark Side's coming or something like that, and it would be a big deal, dude. Like I think it would be very exciting if we got some Kirby Fourth World Dark Side and all that good stuff. You know, I could see that being a big deal.
But yeah, like he definitely has to show up, and that like we did get him a little bit in the Zack Snyder's Justice League, and that he was the main villain. But to get him fleshed out a little bit more, like he could show up in the animated series. He's definitely probably going to be alluded to. He's probably going to be mentioned because they can't have like a Mr. Miracle animated series without mentioning Darkseid and the Fourth World, of course. All the new gods. They can't do it without mentioning them. So of
You would
course
think,
they're going
yeah,
to mention them. Yeah, and so like you said, it's kind of be like a Thanos type of deal. Like they're gonna sprinkle in Darkseid. He's not gonna be like the main big bad in every single movie or leading up to him. He's just gonna be mentioned of how evil he is, how strong he is, what kind of a bastard he is, and they're just gonna lead up to that, and eventually we will see him. I will also say Mongol. Mongol is another good one to go after. He's another Superman villain that could eventually show up before Darkseid.
yeah. I mean, we're already getting Lobo, so that's definitely we need the hard hitters. I think, and you know, I'm always hoping for Brainiac. I'm still not saying it's impossible, but the hard hitters are definitely very fun to watch.
Brainiac is long overdue.
Yeah,
Sadly, we were all hoping for him to be like the main villain in the Superman movie, but I don't think that's the case. But who knows? It could lead to a Brainiac appearance in the future, and I'm hoping so because like the closest we've gotten to a Brainiac in the DC at all is in Smallville. We've had Brainiac, and in Supergirl we had Brainiac 5. That's the closest we've gotten to a live action Brainiac. Oh, sorry, and also in the show that nobody watched, Krypton, we also had a Brainiac as well.
I kind of I think I
So
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
it
That
was
was
all
when
about
Krypton was getting good, right? That's when everybody was like, "Oh, you got to watch Krypton, Brainiac's there." I think I remember that.
yeah. I was watching it from the beginning. It was just that it was on Sci-Fi. And like I say about Revival, nobody's watching Revival because it's on Sci-Fi and it's a good show. Same thing happened with Krypton. Nobody watched it because it was on Sci-Fi. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Biggie. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say before we got out of here, man, I do want to like one last thing about the comics is people can do it, man. If you have books that you have goals, like that's part of my channel. I try to inspire people to go after stuff that they might think's out of reach because you could just procrastinate and miss out on opportunities to find things like this community is very generous and they give away stuff and try to get some giveaways if you are into that kind of stuff. If you're just into reading digitally or whatever, that's perfectly fine too. You do whatever you want, but I think that like my buddy Hudat says, like you can make your hobby fund itself. You can find stuff on the low and maybe make a couple dollars off of it and get bigger books that you never thought you could get. So I'm a very frugal collector. I don't spend a lot of money on my books. I might have some decent ones, but I really haven't invested that much into them. You take like I don't know 100 books and you get a couple bucks a book, and you go after a book that you really like. That's kind of the way I collect. So I just like to let people know that you can definitely go after cool stuff, and I think that all of you guys can achieve whatever you want to get. Like everything, it's pretty much possible. Now I ain't saying you're going to get an Action 1 or Tech 27, but you can get you a nice little book out there. It's not too hard. I've seen a lot of my buddies, man. I'm very proud of those guys for getting cool stuff, and it's very very refreshing to see when a collector. One of the favorite things I do in this hobby. I like to watch people get their books that they go for. I get very excited and happy for collectors when they reach a goal and they get books that they enjoy to have. So, just want to put that out there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Biggie, for taking the time to sit down with us and get to know you a little bit more. Like I said, the link to his Instagram and YouTube is down below. Definitely go give him a follow and subscribe because he's posting on IG. He's posting what he's picked up, what he's got on IG. And he's also doing a lot of great stuff over on YouTube with the book club every Wednesday, collector club every Friday. And then you can check out his channel because he's usually going live every day for your viewing pleasure. So that being said, guys, hopefully you guys have a great new comic book day. And as always, my friends, stay freaking nerdy.